for literally like something I did not do. Like and it goes back to like people just like attacking Jake Paul and like wanting to see me fail.
It hurts so bad. I'm in the hospital right now. I can't even close my mouth. I keep crying, bro.
Look, everyone saw it coming, but nobody wanted to admit it. The World Boxing Association finally did what they should have done months ago and essentially shut down Jake Paul's entire operation. 14 days was all it took for his whole empire to crumble right in front of everyone watching.
6, 7, 8, 9.
This wasn't just another loss. This was the night everything Jake thought he'd built came crashing down and showed the world what was really underneath all that hype. His future disappeared, and there was no coming back from what happened next.
At the moment, not that much is going to happen. And it almost... Oh, there's a left hook.
December 19th, 2025 felt different from the moment people walked into that Miami arena. The Kaseya Center was buzzing with energy, packed wall to wall with celebrities and cameras rolling for millions of viewers worldwide. Everyone wanted to see if this whole Jake Paul boxing thing was legitimate or just another show.
Thought I would win against Anthony, but here I am with a broken jaw, learning the hard way. I'll heal.
Jake strutted in looking like he owned the place, carrying himself like someone who'd completely forgotten his YouTube origins. Standing across the ring was Anthony Joshua, quiet as a storm and totally unfazed by all the circus surrounding him. That should have been the first warning sign.
Boxing is not a game. Fighting is not something you pick up and mess around with, right? If you're a fighter, if you're a boxer, if you're a mixed martial artist, right, you have to take this seriously and you have to respect the game.
Right from the opening bell, things weren't going according to plan. Jake couldn't find his rhythm or dictate the pace like he was used to. That swagger started melting away with every passing minute. Joshua just waited, hunting him down like he had all the time in the world to end this thing. You could feel the whole crowd sensing that something bad was about to happen.
Smile. Smile.
When the stats came out midway through the fight, they told the real story. Joshua was connecting on 48 of his 54 punches, hitting at about 33%. Jake managed just 16 out of 56 attempts, barely scraping 29%. Those numbers don't lie in boxing. One guy was hunting for the finish, while the other was just trying to survive until the final bell.
Look, that guy did great for someone who's been boxing for like less than a decade. He has had no real
Jake found himself constantly moving backward, covering up and wasting precious energy. He'd completely lost control of his game plan and his space in the ring. Somewhere along the way, he stopped trying to win and started praying for time. That's exactly when everything fell apart on live television for everyone to see.
It's showing his lower jaw, that's his mandible, and yes, it looks like it's broken in two places, and it's circled in these red circles. You can see this is his jaw. This is supposed to be sort of two continuous lines.
Round 6 arrived, and the dam finally burst. The first time Jake hit the canvas, the entire arena went dead quiet, and his confidence shattered. The second knockdown brought pure panic to his eyes. The third one was complete devastation. Joshua's final right hand sent Jake sprawling across the canvas, and the referee immediately jumped in to wave it off. The silence that followed was deafening. Everyone knew they'd just witnessed something that couldn't be undone. This wasn't just the end of a fight. It was the end of who Jake Paul thought he was.
Best shot at the moment. Not that much is going to happen. And it almost... Oh, there's a left hook. Oh,
Cameras caught something strange afterward. Jake was actually smiling, and people thought it showed heart or sportsmanship. The truth was much worse than anyone realized. That smile was masking serious internal damage and 2 fractures running through his jaw. Reality was about to get very ugly very fast.
It happened in the 6th round, and it happened in a 22-foot ring. A typical ring is 20 foot. This one was 22 foot because he wanted a bigger room to operate, a bigger space, a bigger ring.
Medical teams confirmed the breaks and immediately prepped him for emergency surgery. They had to install titanium plates just to hold his face together properly. Eating became a struggle. Talking was painful, and sleep was nearly impossible during the recovery period. This had moved way beyond boxing into serious medical territory.
Bro, he got hit with a bomb, a right-hand bomb.
His record now showed 12 wins against 2 losses, with 7 knockouts, including his first knockout defeat and second overall loss. The numbers looked decent on paper, but the psychological damage went much deeper than statistics. His confidence was shattered, his momentum was dead, and his entire future had taken a devastating blow.
And look, AJ, he knew what was going to happen before the fight even took place. That's why he was so calm. And that's probably why in the first few rounds when Jake Paul's buzzing around like a fucking little bee, this is going to slow down.
The real horror show started just 12 days after the fight ended. December 31st, 2025 brought news that changed everything. The World Boxing Association released their updated rankings and Jake Paul's name was completely gone. The guy who'd climbed to number 14 in the cruiserweight division after beating Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was now officially invisible.
Next shot at the moment, not that much is going to happen. And it almost, there's a left hook.
He is stunned. He's not knocked out immediately, but if you look at the displacement of his jaw and the force that was in that punch, that is impressive. Doesn't look very staged to me.
That ranking had been everything to Jake's legitimacy. It proved he belonged in real boxing conversations and provided his pathway toward championship opportunities. Losing it wasn't just a setback. It was complete erasure from the sport. Being unranked in boxing means you have zero leverage, no clear path forward, and absolutely no respect from the establishment.
Never been better.
Yeah, he's absolutely crushing it.
Bring out the vodka.
Yeah, we're doing great in here. A double break in his lower jaw.
All of this destruction happened in just 16 days total. December 19th broke his body into pieces. December 31st wiped out his professional standing. The sport that had welcomed his money suddenly turned ice cold, and January was about to make things even worse. January 4th, 2026, brought the final nail in the coffin. The Florida Athletic Commission handed Jake an indefinite medical suspension due to the severity of his jaw fractures. Doctors refused to give any timeline for potential return. Indefinite means your future is completely out of your control. It means your career now depends on bone healing, medal holding, and medical clearance. In barely 2 weeks, Jake Paul transformed from ranked contender to medically suspended nobody. His face was held together with titanium hardware. His dreams were barely breathing, and his title shot had completely vanished. Boxing didn't celebrate him or mourn his fall. It simply moved forward without him, and that indifference hurt more than any punch. By January 4th, 2026, the sport had seen enough of the experiment. The Florida Athletic Commission stepped in like security, removing someone from a party that had gotten way out of hand. Medical professionals were brutally honest about Jake's jaw fractures being severe and potentially career-threatening. That's when Jake Paul received the most terrifying words in professional boxing: indefinite medical suspension.
Indefinite isn't some gentle timeout in this business. It doesn't mean take a few weeks off and come back refreshed. It means your entire career is now controlled by x-rays, medical reports, and doctors who don't care about your brand or your bank account. While fans continued arguing about the fight online, Jake was stuck staring at hospital walls and legal documents. His jaw remained wired together with titanium plates, and the future he'd assumed was his had suddenly been put on indefinite hold. Boxing doesn't send get-well cards, and it definitely doesn't wait around for anyone to recover emotionally. The suspension sent a clear and brutal message. Your body makes the decisions now, not your marketing team. Reality delivered another crushing blow when Jake's official record settled at 12 wins and 2 losses with 7 knockouts. Those numbers might look respectable until you remember the context of what just happened. That knockout loss was his first time being put to sleep, and nothing changes how people see a fighter faster than watching them get knocked out cold on the biggest stage. The second loss destroyed all the momentum he'd carefully built since July, and no amount of social media spin could repair that damage. July 2025 had Jake walking around like he owned the entire boxing world. By January 2026, he was learning exactly how quickly dreams can expire without warning. The clear path to a title he'd mapped out had collapsed behind him like a bridge on fire. That emotional devastation hits harder than any physical punch, because it forces a fighter to confront the most terrifying question possible. What if this is actually the end?
This was the boxing establishment finally correcting itself. The WBA's decision sent a loud and clear message to celebrity boxing that this sport has real limits, and those limits are written in blood, bone, and consequences. Going from media darling to medical casualty is one of the most humbling experiences in all of combat sports. 1 month, you're everywhere, smiling for cameras and selling dreams through pay-per-view events. The next month, you're unranked, suspended, and waiting for doctors to decide whether your body can even handle this sport anymore. Fame couldn't protect Jake, and the sport refused to slow down for his recovery. Behind closed doors, the whispers were getting louder and more definitive. This is the end of the Jake Paul experiment. Not speculation, not rumors, just a feeling that settled into every conversation about his future. Boxing had finally closed the door on him, and it didn't look like anyone was planning to reopen it anytime soon. So what's actually left of Jake Paul now? A man with titanium holding his face together and a future filled with nothing but question marks. A career that imploded in just 16 days and left him staring at ceilings instead of spotlights. The mental toll of falling this hard after flying this high is something no highlight reel or training camp prepares you for. The real fight now isn't happening in any ring, it's happening inside his own head. Does he attempt a comeback, knowing his body might betray him again? Should he even try when the entire system has already turned its back on him? Internet confidence is loud and attention-grabbing, but boxing reality is silent and completely unforgiving. Then there's the loneliness that nobody talks about. The cameras stop calling, the noise fades away, and the world moves on while you sit alone with your thoughts and your scars. Falling from the spotlight this fast does something permanent to a fighter's soul that can never be fully repaired. When you line up the timeline, it almost feels surreal. December 19th, 2025 saw his career shattered under those bright lights. December 31st, 2025 brought the rankings erasure that killed his future. January 4th, 2026 delivered the suspension that locked every door shut. That's 16 days from dream to complete disaster. Boxing doesn't care who you are, who you used to be, or how many followers hang on your every word. This sport only respects survival. And even that respect is temporary. The myth of Jake Paul as some unstoppable crossover king finally collapsed into dust. All that remained was a broken jaw, a shattered dream, and doors that had been permanently sealed shut. No matter how many times you knock on those doors, boxing doesn't open them for anyone. Jake Paul is finished.